Video games. Some may call it an absurd construction that brainwashes children, while others see it as an enlightening getaway from the troubles of life. Well, these two statements are debatable. It can go without saying that video games have allowed for humans to experience a life that is without the boundaries of this reality. We as humans have become gods in our constructions. We have created realities of our own, realities where we are not bound by laws that inhibit us, but rather allow us to explore and grow through curiosity and amusement. Now, to begin this, we must first define what it means to be a god. In my research test part 3, I wrote a story detailing the life of an ant, where to this small minuscule life, we humans appear as great beings that can burn them with the sun or destroy entire colonies with a single misplaced footstep. What I was trying to explain through that story is that although something might seem great and godly, it's simply misunderstood. According to the Unexplained Mystery discussion forum, a god must contain these following characteristics. First off, it must have independent existence. It cannot be a creation of man. Second, it must be self-aware and have free will. It must be sapient. Third, is that it must understand consequence, cause and effect, and the difference between creative and destructive actions. Fourthly, it must be able to communicate with the lesser beings. And finally, it must have the power to interact or engage with, or essentially, the power to create or destroy. Obviously, in the realm of video games, the human player adopts each of these characteristics. The role and the existence of the gamer is different than that of the non-player controlled beings experienced within the game. The gamer has free will and is able to exercise it throughout the games. They get to decide where and when to go and how to achieve progression throughout the game. Some games are more lenient with restrictions placed on the player. An example of this could be sandbox games versus puzzle games. The gamer, being human, understands cause and effect. This mentality is imperative in order to progress through the games, specifically role-playing and adventure games, as they must understand the effects that their actions have in the bigger picture. Most role-playing and adventure games don't have a linear story arc either. Instead, the story changes based upon the gamer's action. A current game that is infamous for the player's choices impacting them greatly is the game State of Decay, a game where gamers play as a character who, as they progress through the zombie-filled story, levels up and becomes stronger. However, if this character that they build up dies, they remain dead forever. Yet another famous role-playing game is Skyrim. A game which thrusts gamers into the fictional world of Elder Scrolls, a world filled with dragons, magic, and demons. Each of these examples are unique as the player must take risks throughout the game that will greatly affect them in the bigger picture. Communication is the key to success. This is evident in any multiplayer game. A notorious example is the critically acclaimed Sony game Journey. In this game, players must solve puzzles using communication with other players. However, what sets this game apart from others is the fact that this game does not tell you which other players you're playing with, nor does it allow you to communicate with them using your voice. Instead, you are given a tool that notifies other players with a ping sound, followed by an icon. That's the limit of communication. However, it suffices as it proves that communication is possible even without a physical body or voice. Other games need communication for teamwork. A favorite video game of mine, Arma 3, shows just how critical communication is with lesser beings. In the game, you're able to command NPCs to objectives, even if you are nowhere near them. You can give them complex instructions such as landing a helicopter or targeting a single enemy from afar and taking them out. This proves the importance of the human player in the reality of gaming. It demonstrates that the reality of gaming is a human-dependent function. There must be a human creator or human player in order for the game to work.
060.
Lastly, the ability to create or destroy is again an essential concept in video games, as it is this very idea that gives players the power. It allows for them to take a role in the game that is different from any other. It makes games more enjoyable. It gives them an escapist feeling from this reality, as it is this power that attracts people to play them. But going beyond creating scenarios and objects in video games, gamers go above and beyond. They modify the content to their pleasure and add modifications that help make the reality that much more extravagant. It allows for them to place a piece of their identity into the game through the ideas that they share and bring to life. The funniest example I can think of comes from a mod that was placed within Skyrim. Let's see if you can notice the difference.
Justice!
Death to the Stormcloaks!
As fearless in death as he was in life.
Next, the Nord and the Rags!
Here it is again. Did you hear that?
I said, next, prisoner!
To the block, prisoner. Nice and easy.
What in oblivion is that?
Sentries, what do you see?
It's in the clouds!
Dragon!
Guys, get the townspeople this... What's it take to kill this guy? Get up! Come on, the dogs won't give us another chance. What is that thing? Just a legend.
Hemi, you need to get over here! Now! Attaboy, you're doing great. Turo! Go on! Everyone get back! Still alive, prisoner? Keep close to me if you want to stay that way. Gunnar, take care of the boy. I have to find General Tullius and join the defense. God's God. Stick! Oh! Quickly, follow me!
Using this definition and reasoning, it goes without saying that through the realities of video games, gamers become gods. Now that we have this settled, we must investigate the realities themselves.
To begin this topic, we must understand that the reality we live in is restricted by fundamental laws of the universe. These include the laws of physics on top of other regulations that have been placed by society. To help paint this image, here are a few examples of the one created by society. Killing is unacceptable and punishable. Each individual can possess objects. Life isn't contained in a finite amount of time. These laws govern the way we play life. They allow for equality and safety for all. However, in the confines of a video game, none of these are necessarily applicable. This freedom, in a sense, is what makes video games so enjoyable. It allows for an individual to experience a different reality, one where they are free of these laws, a reality where they are asked to break them and experience the joy in doing so. It's an escapism from this reality.
In these virtual realities, the power obtained allows for players to feel unrestricted. It gives them authority to the point where they can take on the godly characteristics talked about earlier. Now take this into consideration. In FPS, or first-person shooters, the character controlled by the gamer can die as many times as possible and still come back to life as if nothing happened. It eliminates the fear and uncertainty of death, which in turn affects how an individual lives their life. This, coupled with the mentality that killing is the way to achieve the goal, promotes the breaking of laws of society, and in turn rewards the player with power that puts them in the role of a god. It gives them the ability to destroy and create, along with free will that isn't experienced in the human reality. Another reality of video gaming is the genre of strategy games, where the player is literally placed in the role of creator. They are able to lay the foundation of a nation, city, or race, and using the godly powers given to them, they are to do with their creation whatever they desire. Some of the most famous examples of that of the Civilization series of games are the critically acclaimed Spore. These games really allow for gamers to feel all the characteristics described in a god. Part of this may seem because you play as an all-knowing individual, where you can see and understand everything that's happening within your creation. Sims is perhaps the best video game at stimulating this effect, as you not only build your character and the environment, but you can mold your character and shape it into whatever you want. It's as if they are nothing more than a blank slate. The message I'm trying to send out here is this: the individual undergoes transformations into God based on the reality of video games they are experiencing. This is because each reality focuses on praising a different godly characteristic. This effect is further enhanced by the genuine amusement and freedom felt in video games. This is part of the reason why video games are very addictive. It is because, to simply put, you experience a life that is better than your own. When using the word better, I am referring to the fact that you are now God within a life of video games. You become the controller. All of this leads to my final point. To refresh your memory, the first premise took a look at the godly characteristics and how us humans obtain them through video games. The second premise investigated the connection between each reality of gaming and the god it created. Finally, my final point is the investigation of what this all means. So let me ask you, what is the role of God in your reality? Typically, God, or gods, are the center of spiritualism and organized religion. They are the figures who are the all-knowing creators of the universe. They are, in the most basic of terms, beyond the level of whatever being is praising them. Video games are no exception. Not only are you, the gamer, the key figure in any game, but it is your responsibility to do what you want. One philosopher who talked about the role of the self was Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, who believed that it was up to the individual to make a role for themselves, an idea that was later improved upon by Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche coined the term Übermensch, or Superman, a being who the ideal image of the superior modern age man will be. A being who is able to create and impose their own values, just like in video games. When in the role of God, this concept is put into place, as it is only the gamer who can decide who they are. This is best seen in multiplayer games, where people create avatars themselves. However, it is who they want to be. They put all the values they wish in themselves into their characters, thus making their Übermensch one of virtual reality. This just shows how much power one obtains when one is thrust into the reality of video games, as they are not the human people of their own reality. Instead, they become gods. They get to choose their own world, their own path, their own person. The next topic is that of morality, the intention of good versus evil. Now, many of you would think that because the gamer is not an active participant, but rather a player in the reality of video games, they have no morals for the actions they take within them. However, I disagree. Why, you may ask? Well, let me bring up an example. Yet another one of my favorite series of video games that I'm sure all of you are 100% familiar with holds the answer. That game is Pokemon. Pokemon is a game where each person befriends and trains in-game avatars known as Pokemon. You spend endless hours training and evolving your avatars, creating one in your own image. No avatar or Pokemon in the game is perfect. Each have their own strengths and weaknesses. However, it is up to you, the one in charge of them, to outsmart the enemy and win each battle with your Pokemon. This sense of responsibility and even friendship makes you feel obligated to keep care of them, to never lose a battle, because you want your Pokemon, your friends, to be the strongest they can be. In this game, it is very rare to find someone who is willing to trade away their first one, because that Pokemon led them to victory. You have become friends with it, and have shared memories with it. This proves that even in an alternate reality, where we are different people, we still uphold the same morals. Thus, in video games, people become gods who are moral, and will always act out in the interest of who they are in the human reality. This shows that even when a gamer is transported to a different reality through gaming, they are still the same being, just with a sense of purpose and the power to seek out that purpose.
Thank you. Oh, my N-word, huh? What's up, homie, huh?
Thus, this proves that the god in video games that people become still maintains some of the deeper principles of the gamer playing it. This includes the sense of purpose that the gamer has bestowed into the video game they are playing, and the idea of morality which binds the gamer to a certain playing style. This is because that while the person may be a god in the reality of video games, they still maintain the experiences of their human lives. This can best be seen when people use one to help the other, such as when a person in real life feels without purpose or lonely. They can seek sanctuary from these negative emotions in the realm of video games, where they are praised with power, responsibility, and community, where they feel and become a god. Now, to conclude, we become gods in the realities we create through video games with the 5 godly characteristics adopted by gamers, the realities of the gamers themselves and the impact they have on us, and finally, the deeper principles of the gamers playing the games are being applied in these new realities. All in all, video games are an appropriate outlet where people can experience a better reality. But what does this all mean? What is the value in knowing the information from this project? Ultimately, that is for you to decide. But I want to end this project with a thought. With the way video games are heading, it is becoming more and more interactive and real. Think about the future of life. We of a race have become designers. We are able to create entire dimensions where we have become the very thing our ancestors prayed to. Now, just imagine, life as we know it. Be the game that we win at.